A while back on this channel, we did a review on this air pump. This is the Etenwolf S6, and we found out that it was a very nice little pump. But for overlanding, it had a limitation factor. That limitation factor was battery capacity. Although it would air up our 35-inch tires from 20 to 36 one time on a battery charge, which is nice if you're just out on a casual weekend jaunt. But if you're doing anything serious, like, I don't know, the trails around Ouray where you might be airing up and airing down multiple times a day, we found that it was lacking and it wouldn't replace an onboard or a portable heavy-duty air system. On the other hand, I have found that I use this pump all the time at home. I no longer pull out my big pump, unwind the hose, and use that. I just grab this, and it served us well. Welcome back to Dickin' Around Outdoors. Today, we are going to talk about Etenwolf's new air pump, what they've done to address some of the issues that we had with the S6. Let me introduce you to the Etenwolf S7 heavy-duty air pump. Now, I know looking at the two, they're pretty much identical. In fact, they pretty much are identical. In fact, if you were just looking at these two, other than the color, you wouldn't know that there was any difference between them. But there is one major difference that we'll cover later in this review. But before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the features of this new S7. And if you're not familiar with our S6 review, I'm going to post that up here. So before we get started, I want to thank Etenwolf for sending this pump to us. I do appreciate your support of the channel. What do you get when you purchase the Etenwolf S7? Well, first thing you get, of course, is the pump. You also get a quick release valve that fits on your valve stems, the charging block, a charging cord, a quick start user guide, owner's manual. As with the S6, you get a nice carry bag, and again, which I think is not as common in most of these pumps, you get a calibration certificate from the factory as to the calibration level of these pumps. And this pump is within 0.2 of being dead on the pressure rating. So the pump itself is very familiar if you're familiar with the S6. It comes with a high pressure hose, and that is used to fill up your vehicle tires. This pump can also fill up things like inflatable toys for kids, swimming pools, air mattresses. So it has a high flow, low pressure pump. And that just attaches here at the end where you can inflate and also deflate, which is important if you've had an inflatable kayak or something like that, or even an air mattress. If you want to pack it as small as possible, you need to get the air out. So you want to use the deflation and suck all that air out. It also comes on the back with different valves depending on what you're filling up, sort of a catch-all valve, a ball valve for basketballs and that sort of thing, and a Presta valve adapter if you happen to have Presta valves on your bike. It also has a sealed port area for charging, so you can fast charge this using that 45-watt wall adapter that I showed you earlier, or you can charge it directly from a vehicle, although that would take quite a while. And you can also charge your phone or your iPad with this. The USB is two-way, and there is a USB-A port that goes out only. So some of the specs that Etenwolf publishes about this pump is that if you are filling a car tire, sort of topping off with 5 pounds, you can do 82 car tires before you run out of battery. If you're doing the same on a light truck, of course larger volume tires, you can do that 40 times. It has a 24-month standby period on the battery. I personally wouldn't let it go that long without recharging it, but they do say that that's there. It does have a 100% duty cycle, so you can fill up your tires, all 4 on your truck. And we are going to do a test on the truck later to show you how that works. but you can do all 4 tires without having to take a break. And sound level on this is rated at 80 decibels, which is 2 decibels higher than the S6. Now, one thing to note, and this is letting the cat out of the bag, but all of those specs as far as how many times you can refill a tire are double the specs on the S6. So what that's telling us is that this S7 now has a much more robust battery pack. The S6 has a 19,200 milliamp hour battery. This has 38,400, so it's got double the battery capacity. And I think, and we're going to test it with the truck, that this is going to make the S7 a much more appealing pump for the overlanding crowd and those that require more capacity. So let's take a look at the operational side of the pump. So once we switch the power on with the top button, the first thing we'll show you is the light. So it does come with a light that has a low setting, a high setting is flashlights, a signal setting, as well as an SOS function. The dial itself, all right, and we apologize, this is an LED light. Cameras do not like the LEDs. But if you use the mode button, this has presets. And the presets are for auto, truck, RV, ball, free-flowing, and bicycle. And you can set those using this gauge. So we'll just go to the truck, which is what we're going to use. And you set the predetermined pressure that you want to pump your tire up to. In this case, we're going to pump our tire back up to 36 pounds. And the pump will automatically shut off when you reach 36 pounds. And the nice thing about this pump is once you set that pressure for each one of the settings, it saves the setting so you're not constantly having to reset it. I do have some pumps that do that, and man, it is a pain. Each one of the different settings has a range that you can set it in, predetermined by the manufacturer. So for example, you cannot get as high a pressure on the car tire setting as you can on the RV setting. And this pump will pressure up to 160 pounds. So now we've got this pump set for 36. Let's go and deflate the tires on the Raptor and use this to pump it up and see how much of the battery we use up. I've currently got a full charge in this, so let's go check it out and see if it performs better. If you remember, after pumping up 4 tires, the S6 had 1 bar left, which means that the battery life was between 0 and 25%. So we're going to see where this one ends up after inflating 4 tires. And then, if we've got plenty of power left, we'll probably deflate them and inflate them again just to see if it does it twice, which would be really nice. So let's go out to the driveway, see what she does. And for deflation duty today, we're going to use our Auto Expert stem deflators. And in order to be as precise as possible, we're going to use the same deflator on all 4 tires to ensure that all the tires are deflated to the same pressure. And then we're going to fill those back up, and then we'll repeat it if we have enough battery power left. All right, we have 2 of the tires deflated, 3rd one's in process. So let's go ahead. We're going to start our test. All right, the last tire is deflating. Let's go ahead. We're just simply going to screw on to our valve stem the high pressure hose. Bad angle to be doing this. We've already set the pressure setting to 36. So we turn the pump on. It's on the truck setting for 36 pounds. We're at 20. So let's go ahead, start the process. All right, the pump is done. It should be set at 36 pounds. As you can see, this has a little bit different algorithm in it when it comes to the final filling than the S6 had, where it'll slow down, it'll take a pressure, then it'll kick back up. In the last few tenths of a pound really kicks it, but we're going to go ahead. We're going to do the other tires. All right. Well, we got 7 tires refilled, all to the proper 36 pounds. It took each tire, on average, about 4 minutes and 15 seconds, which is an improvement of 30 seconds over the S6. But I did notice that as time went on, it started taking a little bit longer. I think the air inside the pump, because the pump was getting hotter, actually expanded. That made it take longer. The battery showed 0 after the 7th tire. I tried to get the 8th tire out of it, and it wouldn't start. So 7 tires, and we are kaput. I'm going to finish up with the S6, then we'll wrap up the video. All right, well, after doing 7 tires and attempting to do the 8th, when we went back to pick up the pump, it is flashing. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It's flashing an error code and the overheat signal. So basically, after 7 tires, the pump got too hot and it shut down on the overheat or over temp, which is good. That's what it's supposed to do. But that'll give you an idea. Temperature here today is 82 and about 73% humidity. So it's warm, but it's not blisteringly hot. But we did ask this pump to do a lot of work. So what would I recommend these for? Well, first off, I think the S6 is still a great pump. That's going to be something that you want to use around the house. Certainly for that use, this is both of these are overbuilt. So I think you couldn't go wrong with either one of these, but you wouldn't need the S7 around the house just to top off tires occasionally, fill up balls, that kind of thing. So around the house, for the casual overlander, for someone that's going to go out, get on the trail, spend a weekend, come back and air up once to go home, I think the S6 has plenty of power. If you're an overlander that wants to do multiple trails, wants to have that peace of mind that you have some extra capacity, then I think the S7 would do the trick. Now, again, you're going to have to recharge if you have tires like 35 or bigger, if you're going to try to fill up multiple times without recharging it. Smaller tires like are on the Grenadier, we might have gotten all 4 twice, don't know. But for 35s and up, you can't do it. But if you can recharge it in between, I think you're golden. So I think this is for the more serious overlander that's only taking care of their own vehicle and can recharge. This is not going to serve as the hub for a group of overlanders that are all looking to kind of use one vehicle for their air up needs. So again, solo traveler, doing multiple trails, the extra battery power certainly makes this a viable contender. So I hope you like this kind of content, and if you do, please take a minute to hit that sub button in the lower right-hand corner, give us a thumbs up, and share this with your like-minded friends. I'm going to put a link to both of these great pumps below. If you want to have a look and perhaps pick one up, we would appreciate you using those links. They do give us a pittance of a commission and don't cost you anything, but it does help support the channel. And as always, take care, and we'll see you outdoors.